Hi, my name is Sophia Schmerling, and this is my video response for the Martial Artists and Acrobats of Tianjin for Theater 251, Section 1. My camera is not cooperating with me, so this is my voice recording on video format. So I really enjoyed the performance. I thought it was great that they were able to utilize different music to set the tone throughout the performance. I'm used to usually seeing musicals and dramas and Western operas, which have obvious plots set in motion, and this performance was a little bit confusing at first because there was no dialogue or any plots really. However, I think the cast did an amazing job at portraying the different themes throughout the show, even without the use of dialogue. This show sort of reminded me of Cirque du Soleil because both they have no dialogue, there's no real plot, there's different scenes that are completely different than the next. And I think that maybe like Cirque du Soleil even got some influence from Chinese theater and Chinese culture. I really liked how fast-paced the show was. Even though the set was pretty minimalistic, there wasn't ever a dull moment, and I was able to keep focus on all the different performers and what they were doing and how they were interacting with each other. I thought that the use of the vivid colors for costumes was able to add even more depth in the tone and the mood of the different scenes, and was also a great additional tool for the audience to connect with the performers. I found this style of performance pretty similar to the Beijing opera style. From all the sources that we had on the style on Blackboard, I was able to see some similarities with the simple backdrops and the lack of set structures, and that each character doesn't really have many props compared to westernized theater, where there are high moving sets and many different props for all the different actors. And for the Acrobats of Tianjin, they usually only had a couple of set structures on stage and about 2 or 3 props that they were using. I thought they were both sort of similar in that aspect. I also saw a similarity with the masks and the Sichuan masks. I found it really interesting that just with the colors and the paint patterns on a performer's mask, you can tell instantly if they're a good or bad character, or if the scene is going to be more dramatic or a little more sweet. And I just find it really cool how one mask can set a whole scene, basically. One more connection that I saw from the Sichuan opera was that the performance types both have a variety of acts with no central theme. And during the martial artist performance, there were obvious scene changes, but everything flowed together, and the show still had a tone, a complete tone to it. And this other connection I made doesn't have to do with Chinese theater, but with the Japanese bunraku style of theater. I just saw it interesting that when the lady came out with the horse and she used puppets for the back 2 legs, I found that pretty cool because it connects even more styles of theater, and that different cultures can influence each other on theater and music and lifestyle. It's just a really interesting thing for me. Seeing this performance really made me appreciate the Chinese culture. Before this, the only real experience or exposure I've had to Chinese culture is from reading the book The Joy Club in high school, learning Chinese history, and the rest has really been from like basic things like Chinese restaurants or watching animated films or movies like Mulan when I was younger. But I never really experienced real Chinese culture before. And from this performance, I was able to make connections to that, the Chinese culture. For example, you can see that the performers are super dedicated and they have passion and they put so much time into this work, which correlates to the Chinese culture of just being extremely dedicated and passionate about topics and different skills, and it's seen as being very honorable to be so passionate about a skill or a subject or a trait. It also shows their history, because China's had a very long history, which includes performance and martial arts. So when both of them are together and intertwined into one performance, I think that lets the audience appreciate the culture for even more than what it is. That's all for my response. And I just want to add that this experience overall has been extremely eye-opening, and I really enjoyed it. Thank you.